I surrender and volunteer for treason.
All right. Once again, as usual, trying to keep up with unelected U.S. Trader Trump's scandals is much like trying to catch the lead car in Le Mans while wearing cement blocks on your feet and trying to run after it. Here are 10 simple things to consider about idiot Trump. Number 1, if Trump is innocent of criminally conspiring with our enemy Putin and Russia, why does it need its friend Jeff Sessions, the Trump appointee to Attorney General, that had to recuse itself from all matters Russia after perjuring itself to Congress about having met with Russians about removing the harsh sanctions President Barack Obama put on them for undermining our democracy and election. Number 2, why does Trump praise our enemy Putin, never condemn Putin, and not enforce the sanctions our Senate voted 98-2 to put into law?
When people like me, I like them. Even Putin, Putin, they want me to disavow Putin. Putin of Russia.
Number 3, why did Trump lie about knowing Putin and, quote, talking to Putin directly if Trump has never talked to or met our enemy Putin?
I don't know Putin. I have no idea. I never met Putin.
Do you have a relationship with Vladimir Putin, a conversational relationship, or anything that you feel you have sway or influence over his government?
I do have a relationship. I never met Putin. I don't know who Putin is. What do I have to get involved with Putin for? I have nothing to do with Putin. I've never spoken to him.
You did say on 3 different occasions you had a relationship with him. Now you say there is none.
Putin even sent me a present, beautiful present, with a beautiful note. I spoke to all of his people.
I have no relationship with Putin. I don't think I've ever met him. I never met him. I don't think I've ever met him. You would know it if you did, wouldn't you? I think so, yeah, I think so. So I don't think I've ever met him. I mean, if he's in the same room or something, but I don't think so.
Never spoken to him on the phone?
I've been in Moscow. I didn't meet him in Moscow. Where?
Never spoken to him on the phone?
I have never spoken to him on the phone, no.
I was in Russia. I was in Moscow recently, and I spoke indirectly and directly with President Putin, who could not have been nicer. One of the great memories of all time.
You said for 3 years, 13, 14, and 15, that you did have a relationship with him.
No, look, what do you call a relationship? I mean, he treats me with great respect.
I do have a relationship. What do I have to get involved with Putin for? I have nothing to do with Putin. I've never spoken to him. Putin wants to go in, and I got to know him very well because we were both on 60 Minutes. We were stablemates, and we did very well that night.
Number 4, why did Trump invite our enemy Russia into what is now the White Trash House with their electronic recording devices and let us, taxpayers who pay Trump's wages, find out about that meeting from Russian news? Number 5, why won't Trump release its taxes?
For 40 years, everyone running for president has released their tax returns. You can go and see nearly, I think, 39, 40 years of our tax returns, but everyone has done it. We know the IRS has made clear there is no prohibition on releasing it when you're under audit. So you've got to ask yourself, why won't he release his tax returns? And I think there may be a couple of reasons. First, maybe he's not as rich as he says he is. Second, maybe he's not as charitable as he claims to be. Third, we don't know all of his business dealings, but we have been told through investigative reporting that he owes about $650 million to Wall Street and foreign banks. Or maybe he doesn't want the American people, all of you watching tonight, to know that he's paid nothing in federal taxes, because the only years that anybody's ever seen were a couple of years when he had to turn them over to state authorities when he was trying to get a casino license, and they showed he didn't pay any federal income tax. So
That makes
if
me
he's
smart.
paid zero, that means zero for troops, zero for vets, zero for schools or health. And I think probably he's not all that enthusiastic about having the rest of our country see what the real reasons are, because it must be something really important, even terrible, that he's trying to hide.
Number 6. Why is Trump so defensive about Russia, and why does Trump constantly blame our FBI for investigating Trump's treason if Trump isn't guilty of treason? Number 7. Why is Trump obsessed with the word collusion if Trump didn't collude with our enemy Russia? Number 8. Why did Trump keep Mike Felon on for 3 weeks after the Real News outed Felon as a traitor?
Michael Flynn, General Flynn, is a wonderful man. I think he's been treated very, very unfairly by the media, as I call it, the fake media in many cases. And I think it's really a sad thing that he was treated so badly. I think in addition to that, from intelligence, papers are being leaked, things are being leaked. It's criminal action, criminal act.
Number 9. Why doesn't Trump lift a tiny little finger to protect our democracy and elections and country from Russian meddling, influence, and interference?
President Trump just arrived in Hanoi.
Yeah, and earlier today, he did speak to Russian President Vladimir Putin about Russian meddling in the 2016 presidential election. We're just learning this as the president said that Putin denied the allegations, and the president says he believes him.
He said that Putin said this. He said he didn't meddle. He said he didn't meddle. I asked him again. You can only ask him so many times. He said he didn't meddle. He absolutely didn't meddle in the election. Now, the president goes on to say this. He said every time he sees me, he says he didn't do that. And I believe him. I really believe him when he tells me that he didn't meddle. So, Victor and Christy, of course, this has been a soundtrack, really, of the last several months of the Trump presidency. Was there Russian meddling in the election? Was there not? The reality is all U.S. intelligence agencies have agreed that there indeed was. So the fact that the president is still asking him if he did is a little bit sort of beyond the point there.
And number 10. Why did Trump fire Director James Comey as he closed in on Traitor Trump? Oh, wait. That Trump actually told us. Here, just take a look.
I was going to fire Comey, knowing there was no good time to do it. And in fact, when I decided to just do it, I said to myself, I said, you know, this Russia thing with Trump and Russia is a made-up story. I do have a relationship. I have no relationship with Putin.
But fear not, Vietnam Marine combat veteran and longtime Republican Bob Mueller, the FBI special counsel, will get the facts onto all of this. And the 18 criminal indictments he's made thus far of 13 Russians and 5 Americans is just the teeny, itty-bitty, tiny tip of the iceberg. Most of it, everything you don't see, and that is a lot, because the iceberg is underwater and it is gigantic. Everything you don't see is what is making Donald Trump terrified of Mueller. Trump knows he's committed treason. So rest assured, Trump and its traitorous clan are going to hate the outcome. You can be sure of that. Goodbye, Trump. Soon you'll be going away, and we'll all rejoice.